I've got your purse. You.
A man should never touch a woman's purse. It's like touching her vagina, only more intimate.
Who said I was a man? Meow. I'm a kitty.
And welcome back to episode 67 of Crips and Corks. I'm your host, DJ, here with my co-host,
Paul, as usual. And I'm a kitty cat today.
I'm just wearing pajamas because we're doing a pajama party.
Pajama party!
Because
our topic, we're getting back in touch with our childhood.
I was going to say, being sober, we're getting back in touch with our childhood.
Yes, we're finding ourselves again. Speaking of which, since I've been sober, I've been having dreams again.
Oh my god.
Which I had dreams before, but they were more like nightmares, like you're gonna die, all your family and everyone's gonna die. But these ones are a lot more tranquil. So I had a dream that you and I got in a car accident.
Oh, that's more tranquil.
Well, it wasn't really like a bad car accident. It was more like we got hit and then the lady came and talked to us and she was like, oh my gosh, that was my fault, I'm so sorry. We were like, yeah, we know. And then later in the dream, I was at the stream with 4 friends and I thought to myself, wow, I need to start living in the moment more. And I was like, you know what? You're right, Dream Me. I just need to start living in the moment more. So that's what I'm already learning things about myself in being sober. I need to live in the moment more. And moments like this, where I'm dressed in a onesie as a grown adult man for the internet, drinking milkshakes, which we haven't announced yet, but we'll get there.
Way to steal my thunder, Paul. First you touched my vagina purse.
Ooh. I know a few people that's touched that purse and they got mold on their fingers. They were able to grow some sort of weird blue cheese with it.
Jesus Christ. I see sobriety has done nothing for your humor.
No, I'm still insane. You're welcome. You're all welcome. How has it been for you? How are things going? How was your week?
I blew a tire.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about that.
It exploded while I was driving. I was terrified.
Mm-hmm. No, that is scary. I can't imagine just driving along and then all of a sudden you're done and your tire's gone. Now, how did that end up? Did you have to swerve on the side of the road or what exactly went down with that?
It exploded and I pulled into a police station because luckily I was right by a police station.
Oh, okay, yes. And as we all know, policemen, hot. Good idea.
Thank you. And one of them did stop to help me.
Was he cute?
No.
Sorry. Police women too.
It was a policeman.
2025.
He was not.
That sucks.
Do you have a pop culture corner for us today?
I do. I wanted to address something that we didn't get to talk about before, which was Trisha Paytas on SNL, which is kind of crazy because she's a YouTube star. So they only let huge celebrities on SNL. So to have
Did she host?
No, she was on a segment and they let her stand with them as they were waving goodbye and everything. So she stood with everyone at the end.
Keyword, they let her stand with them.
Yes.
Sorry.
But still, she was on SNL. That's huge.
That is true. That's something more than you and I got.
Exactly. No one takes YouTubers or influencers seriously in the general celebrity community. So having Trisha on a huge platform like that I feel that's a win for just everyday YouTubers and influencers and people like her who really started from nothing and really had gained a following over, God, she's been on the internet for 15 years. So it really is kind of awesome to see and inspirational and things.
It's gonna take us double that, double it again, triple it.
Oh, yeah.
And then we might be on SNL.
Girl, right. If I ever get on SNL, girl, that would be insane. Something's going wrong in the world if I'm on SNL, girl.
Every other celebrity in the world has died.
Right. I mean, I do a good job for sure, but I don't know. I just feel if Little old me was on SNL. That would be insane, bitch. Like, it would be like Trisha being on SNL if I ever got that famous.
I
like,
agree.
It would be crazy. Now, how do you feel about celebrities just generally not liking influencers? How do you feel about that whole thing?
I agree with it to a point.
Mm-hmm.
I think that influencers, if you're using your influence, I think it's very well. I think it's the pot calling the kettle black.
Mm-hmm.
But if an influencer is actually entertaining people, then there's no reason to diss them. However, there are some influencers out there who just kind of peddle the fact that they're good looking.
Yeah, for sure.
And their content is literally just them looking into a camera and going, "Hello, my OnlyFans." Huh.
Okay, some of them do skincare routines and things. I feel like that's such a caricature of what those people actually do. You know, it's like how people think the Kardashians don't actually do work, you know, because the Kardashians, they do business things and all that. It's not just like sitting in front of the camera and be like, well, my OnlyFans, like exactly what that's a character.
Well,
and that's why they hate us.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying. I think if you're actually entertaining, you're producing actual content, there should be no hatred, but there are plenty of people out there who do just sit there. Follow my OnlyFans.
I don't know. I feel like, name one.
I don't know. I don't follow them.
That's true. Because, like, I don't know if that's... Because, like, even if they're doing OnlyFans,
yes.
is work.
Yeah, except it's just like... Okay, I can't think of his name. It's Jack something.
Oh, Meridu?
No.
Damn.
Although he is one.
Yeah. I mean, he
Where
does...
everything...
sketches.
Very rarely anymore. It's just... Yeah. He's trying to sell his OnlyFans, which is just pictures he could put on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you pulled the waistband of your underwear down a little bit, so Instagram would ban that. And you're charging $14.99 a month for this. And then you're charging $30 for this is the hottest bundle you ever got, and it's exactly what's on your regular feed or on your Instagram.
That's, like, yes, I do think that's true, and I do think there are OnlyFans creators who charge a lot of money for nothing.
And we've talked about on this podcast that we very much support OnlyFans or Fansly or just for fan creators out there.
For sure.
But just like any content creator, you actually have to be creating content and not just, I'm going to take pictures of myself in my underwear and milk it for the next 6 months while charging top dollar.
But at the same time, like, get your bag, sis. Like, if I could make money in my underwear...
Well, but that's the thing. That's why they charge so much, is they know a lot of people aren't going to stay.
Right. That's true. That's a good point, too. Yeah. I mean, honestly, if I could make money in my underwear, trust and believe, posted tomorrow...
You probably could. Well, sorry, Kathy. Shall we drink?
Yeah, our milkshakes are melting. That was
Yes.
Paul's Pop Culture Corner. Congratulations, Trisha. That's an
As
awesome.
part of our going back to childhood, we're drinking chocolate milkshakes. They are homemade.
Homemade. Go and follow our TikTok to see how DJ made it. DJ did an awesome job on these milkshakes, and I'm so excited. I haven't had a homemade milkshake.
And we do need a little ASMR.
So you get some ASMR
Something.
whipped cream.
Excuse me, something or another.
Oh, that looks so good. I'm so excited. Y'all need to go and get yourselves a milkshake. If you're driving, go through a good old drive-thru, hit up your local Dairy Queen, and get yourself a milkshake while you're listening to this.
It's melting.
Oh, girl. This is so good. Oh my god, it looks so good.
Doing some chocolate sprinkles.
Gosh, I love
And
this.
if you want, I did bring the chocolate syrup if you wanted to do a drizzle on top.
This is enough.
Okay.
Let's cheers so I can take a good old drink of this. I'm so
Cheers.
Cheers.
Was I not right?
This is an amazing milkshake.
Thank you.
5 grapes, 5 milkshakes, 5 cows, 5 whatever I need to give this milkshake. Oh my god.
Moo.
You guys need to
Big
go over to our TikTok so you can get this milkshake recipe. This iconic. DJ, you outdid yourself.
Thank you. Is this the best thing I've ever made you?
Probably.
Okay, that's fair. One more sip.
The rest of the episode is just going to be us quietly sipping our milkshakes. Because
Slurping.
they're so good. Now, do you feel in touch with your inner child now? You have your milkshake. We're in
I
our
do,
pajamas,
and I'm
our
about to
onesies.
bring us way back. Are you ready?
Ooh, let's go back, girl.
Paul, let me tell you a story.
Let's get into it. Yeah.
Dadu ewa, ka mimi nulu, ka tolu uni, liku, ka utai na ba, uni do, mama do, hey, kabu uni. No, I am not making fun of any languages. I was speaking Furbish, the made-up language of Satan's own spawn, Furbies, because today we are going to be covering frightening Furbies.
Oh my god, this topic is so insane. Now, first of all, that was your Furby voice?
No, it's going to get worse.
Can I do my Furby voice?
Yes.
Okay. Let me get into Furby character. Let me fully embody a Furby. Hey, I'm your Furby kid. Hey, why don't you have your mom go in and get us some scratchers from the 7-Eleven? I heard the jackpot's up to 3 mil. And that is my Furby if I was a Furby.
Da meme, which is Furbish for love it.
Dameme. Is there a whole Furby dictionary?
Yes, there is.
Okay, before we get too deep into Furbies, we probably should explain what the Furbies are to kids who don't know. Maybe you were born past 2000 and don't know what a freaking Furby is.
And I'm gonna have to put my glasses on. Sorry, my left eye just totally stopped working. That's better. So, Furby is an electronic robotic toy developed by Tiger Electronics, and it was later bought out by Hasbro Toys.
Tiger Electronics? Coincidence? Because I didn't even know that.
Well, want to hear something?
I'm a tiger. Go ahead. Sorry. Meow.
Some of the machinery in it was made by Texas Instruments.
Oh, like the graphing calculator.
Yes. So
okay, that's pretty high tech.
Any student in America who had to take algebra, you probably used a Texas Instruments graphing calculator. They also made Furbies. So the next time, any of our high school listeners, the next time you are doing an algebra test, just remember that as you type in that equation, you're basically playing with a Furby.
There's a little Furby inside of there saying, please, press the 6-9 button. Do it quick, kid, please.
The Furby's going. Every time you punch it, it's just going, yum.
Now, did you have a Furby growing up or no?
My brother did. I was terrified of it.
I had a Furby growing up too, and it was creepy. I'm not gonna lie, when I was a kid, there was a couple times when I was playing with my Furby that I had to second guess, is this thing actually alive? What's going on here? Now, it might have just been because I was a kid, but there was a couple times when I was like, okay, is this actually thing alive? It was giving very much there's something living in this Furby right now.
So, they were first released in 1998 when you and I were 2, and they became the must-have toy of the season. If you have any doubt over how popular these little fuckers were, 8.1 million Furbies were sold in the first 3 months of its release in 1998.
Oh, yeah.
By 2000, over 40 million Furbies were sold.
I mean, anyone who was anyone had a Furby, okay? Everyone had a Furby.
I guess I had a Furby by association.
You did, yeah. It was the it toy. All the girls, all the dolls, all the gays, we all had the Furbies.
But can you just think about that? Because you can't destroy Furbies. There are 40 plus million Furbies. And that was 20 years ago.
So,
25 years ago.
Could you imagine, like, they're all in just the landfill and they, like, band together and come back and attack us? They're, like, coming for us.
Pretty much.
They're plotting our revenge in the landfill with all those. They're, like, building, like, machine guns out of cigarette butts and things.
Take lung cancer. Doobie-doo, lung cancer get you.
Now, the Furby talk does sound a little bit like Sims talk, like Simish, whatever language they use.
As I was doing it, I hadn't been practicing it out loud a lot, but as I was doing it, I was like, oh no, I gotta say something because this sounds like I'm making fun of a foreign language.
It does a little bit. I'm glad you clarified. Thank you for saving us.
But no, it is a made-up language made up by the developers. Now, anyone who's never seen a Furby, God bless you. I wish I was you. But this is what they look like. They resemble a mixture of a hamster and an owl.
That's very that, yes.
Which you don't, that's the description that kept coming up, and then I, like, went back and I looked at a picture of Furby and I went, well, damn, it does.
Right, it does, now that you say that, it does.
And it has large ears. Now, the large ears were initially reminiscent of Gizmo or the Mugwai from the Gremlins movie.
Are you going to talk more about the ear?
A little bit more.
Okay, go ahead.
But you remember what Gizmo from Gremlins looks like, right?
Yeah, for sure.
This led Warner Brothers to sue Hasbro for trademark infringement and led to a redesign of the Furby's ear.
Oh, that's actually interesting. I didn't know that. The Gremlins folks sued them for being too close to the cute gremlin before it became the gremlin.
The Mugwai. I think it's called a Mugwai.
Too bad I look like the after of the gremlin. The after midnight gremlin, if you will.
Do not feed it. I mean, the rules for gremlins are basically your rules. Don't get it wet. Don't feed after midnight. And don't expose it to direct sunlight.
Very that. That's why I stay dry in my office all day, in my home. Yep. And I'm only wet for Zac Efron. Zac Efron's the only one who can get me wet. Now, I do want to talk about
Jake Weber.
Jake Weber, Colby Brock, but I can't say their names too much anymore on the podcast because if we ever meet them, I don't want to be creepy. I want to be friends with them. I don't want them to think I'm going to come there and be creepy, okay? It's fine, Colby and Jake. I am a safe person to be around. Now, speaking of safe, we aren't safe because the Furby's ears, they're large and front-facing like a predator's ears. I saw that online before. The Furby is a predator because they have large front-facing ears so they can hear their prey coming or like going or whatever and attack it. So Furbies are predators. Wake up, sheeple. Any comment? Concern?
My only concern is that developers were worried initially that it was too girlish and would not appeal to boys.
Oh.
So, they made it capable of burping and farting to appeal to boys.
That tracks. They gotta stick with those gender norms. Boys only like burps and farts.
And I was watching a video of Jake Weber. He bought one and he was like trying to see if it was cursed. And he kept trying to put it to sleep and he was tickling and it just kept farting.
Oh, God. See, I don't think farts are funny. I don't think burping or farting is funny at all. Maybe that's the gay thing, but I just never thought any of that was funny like how some people do. Do you think that's funny?
Sometimes, yes.
Oh my
But
gosh.
that's because that's my father's sense of humor and so I was raised with it.
I got my mom's and dad's dark sense of humor.
I also think that when somebody falls over, it's hilarious. When somebody falls, I just want to burst out laughing. And it's not because... And I'm actually really concerned, but like if you fell over right now, I would probably bust out laughing before helping you.
You know, that tracks. And I do want to clarify. I think my dad has more of a dark sense of humor than my mom, and I think that's where I get it from.
Now, the toy is equipped with several touch sensors and a light sensor. What is that face?
My computer's gonna die. Oh no! You'd think by now I'd plug it in.
Melting. I even asked you if you wanted it.
Okay. We're plugged in. Okay, we're fine now.
And now it's directly under my butt, so I just gotta make sure that I don't move and unplug it.
Yeah, it'll be fine.
Now, Furbies began speaking entirely in Furbish, which is that made-up language, and it gradually learns English over time after interacting with its master.
So you think there's a timer in there, and it's like, so after like 5 days, it'll start using that word?
So, we're going to debunk something here. Furbies do not actually listen to you. They do not have audio sensors. They are programmed with a set number of both Furbish and English phrases and are programmed to start speaking entirely in Furbish and slowly begin introducing English to mimic learning a language. Also,
I got a chocolate chip stuck in my straw. That's what I'm
blow on it. Just blow on it.
It's not coming out.
Jesus.
We're fucked.
That came out. I heard it.
Okay, now we're good. We're struggling with these milkshakes today, guys.
Okay, while it is impossible to train a Furby English, you can train it to say certain phrases more often by petting it or feeding it when it says those.
Oh, okay.
So if you wanted to say, me love you, more often, every time it says, me love you, you pet it.
Okay.
And you can sort of teach the program to say that more often.
Kind of like me, where if you pet me anytime to say when I do something you like, or if you give me a McChicken, and I'll do whatever you want.
Okay, this is very topical. What? How do you react when somebody calls you a good boy?
Depends on the situation. Depends on who's saying it and why they're saying it. It's a very situational thing. How about you? He's a little hard right now. I can't tell if it's because of the Furby or the good
Oh my god. I'm fine with being called a good boy. Also, there is a rumor that you can train a Furby or hack it to start saying words like fuck. Oh. You cannot.
Yeah, it's just those gibberish words that sometimes sound like curse words. Yeah.
And also, a couple years before the Furby, there was a Barney toy that people could hack the programming and make it say swear words.
Oh, really?
But here's the thing. It's because it's all recorded, it would not come out in the Furby voice. It would come out in your voice.
See, that's boring, though. I want it to come out in the Furby voice. I want the Furby to curse at me.
Now, at one point, the U.S. government actually banned Furbies because they were worried China was using them to spy on Americans. This has not been proven.
Oh, just like how they say with TikTok.
TikTok, yeah. So I figured that was very timely.
Yeah, so this isn't a new fear. First they're hacking the Furbies and now the TikTok?
Mm-hmm.
Crazy. Spoiler, I don't believe China's hacking the Furbies or TikTok. Don't worry.
No, but could you just imagine? Me love you. Me want government secrets for Chairman Z.
They're only hacking the Furbies of like the top ranking officials' kids, like the president's kids' Furbies, like, me love you. What's the nuclear code?
I think Chelsea Clinton was a little too old for Furby, and then Jenna and Barbara Bush were too old for Furbies when George W. Bush. And that was like the height of the Furbies.
That's true.
Now, they did dip in sales in 2002 and were revived in 2005 with LCD light-up eyes.
Ooh, I don't know how I feel about that. I feel like the LED light-up eyes would not be like as realistic.
No, it's not, which probably is good because they are a little uncanny.
Yeah, they do look realistic.
They do. And although it did come from me watching Jake Weber, he had an original 1998 one, and like every time it moved, you could hear the gears going. It was a very crunchy boy.
It's like when our joints finally go, like whenever we move, you can hear our joints crashing.
But it was like, okay, this makes me feel like it's a little less alive than if it was perfectly seamless.
That makes sense.
Because if it's perfectly seamless... but yeah, there's just like, ever since there's been like stories of people being horrified from them, because they do look alive and they are programmed to mimic life.
Yes, Exactly. I'm excited to hear some of these horror stories.
Yes. So, the rest of the episode is just going to be me reading horrifying Furby stories.
All right.
And then in between, we can commentate.
Period.
Not mine, but my mom's story. My mom had her friend over for a sleepover, and since they were little, her mom brought... Can we talk about how this is somebody's mom who had a Furby when she was little?
Not even the daughter. She said, that's my Furby, and if you ever touch it...
No, this was when her mom was little.
Wait.
This is a kid posting on the internet about when her mother was young having a Furby.
I thought you meant the mom had the Furby and wouldn't let the kid
No.
have it. Okay.
No, because my mom had her friend over for sleepover, and since they were little... That's crazy. That people who were little in 1998 have kids now.
There's people our age that have like 3 kids, DJ. We're like...
I know. Okay, so...
We're the outlier.
So, for those of you who don't know, I am writing a novel, and I did kind of make fun of it. Mm-hmm. Especially because I gave all 3 of their kids. It was like Emma Lee... Mm-hmm. What was it? Emma Lee. Oh my god, I can't remember, but it was all names like that where it was like 2 names that make up one.
Okay.
Like Maddie Lynn.
Okay.
Madeline.
Wait, I think I missed the point on that. Like, why did you do that?
Because that just seems like what the white people are doing these days.
Okay. Like McKaysley and... Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I got you.
Or, that's a good one. Mac Kenzie.
Mackenzie. That's funny. That'd be interesting.
Anyways, since they were little, her friend brought over a Furby to, quote, protect her from nightmares, unquote. Then my mom woke up in the middle of the night and saw the Furby in front of her screaming, I need cookies! In an old man voice, then some gibberish followed after that.
The old man voice is weird. That's what doesn't sit right with me.
Right?
Like, how did the old man voice come about?
Well, either it was programmed or it was possessed by an old man. Oh, Grandpa, possessing the Furby again.
That's an interesting thought. Maybe the Furbies themselves aren't possessed, but they go into these haunted homes, and that's what possesses them.
That could be.
Okay, this makes sense. Okay, that would make sense. Because there are a lot of haunted homes. I mean, there's 17 seasons of freaking Ghost Adventure. Well, 23 now, I think, but...
I got one for Christmas in 2019. I played with it for a while on Furby Connect World, and then my device said Furby disconnected. I looked up at the Furby, and its eyes were pitch black and staring at me. Then, only a few days ago, I tried to turn on my dead Furby. It finally turned on and did love heart eyes at me, and I ran away. Then my little sister informed me that it died again.
That one's not as spooky to me.
No, it's just kind of creepy.
Yeah, that one's not as creepy to me.
A few days ago, I brought my Furby to high school. He's a 1999 Wizard Furby, for anyone wondering.
Yeah, flex on this.
I think I found this one on r/We Love Furbies.
Oh, so he's like a collector. Could you imagine, like, being a Furby collector? It's like the same as those Beanie Baby collectors.
I, of course, yanked the batteries out of him so he wouldn't be a distraction. We at the time were in the middle of the math test. Everything is quiet. You could hear a pin drop from a mile away when suddenly a noise comes from under my desk. I don't know how, but this thing was able to loudly scream, "Cock-a-doodle-doo, me love you," without any batteries in. While in the middle of a serious test, I then placed it in my locker. For about 5 minutes, you could hear me scared or hungry coming from my locker. I don't bring my own Furbies anymore.
Girl, okay. First thought.
The fact that with no batteries, second of all, during a test...
That kid was definitely bullied in school. He was definitely the weird kid bringing Furbies to school. Girl.
He was definitely the kid who sat at the lunch table where it was like, you want to see my rock collection?
Just having lunch with all my Furbies. Hey, Jennifer, you want to come join? Girl.
It's okay. My mom packed a extra peanut butter sandwich. It's on Wonder Bread with no crust. I eat the crust separately.
Third thought. What if when the Furby went off in the middle of math class while the teacher was like, "Damn it, Slater, not again! Stop bringing your goddamn Furbies into my goddamn class!"
I hope that teacher is... Wait, I have a story. You might not find it funny. I think it's hilarious. I'll tell you it off air, but it has nothing to do with Furbies, but it has everything to do with a teacher yelling at a student.
All right, drama.
When I was at my cousin's house, we were playing with their pets in their room, and we started talking about Furbies, and I said that they are spawns of Satan and are all demons. That's when they told me they had 2 in the top of their closet. I immediately turned to the open closet door and looked up and saw the 2 Furbies looking down at us. I jumped, but sat back down after they told me they had no batteries and didn't work, and they told me they were a gift and couldn't get rid of them. About 20 seconds later, we hear a blood-curdling demonic screech from the top of the closet and run out of the room and tell our parents, but they thought we were lying, and we later went in the room and made sure they had no batteries. They didn't. We shut the closet and went outside terrified and didn't dare go back into the room.
See, that's one where I would believe that there was something already in that house that haunted, like, possessed that Furby, you know? Because, like, I feel like if there were demons in all of the Furbies...
It's the basement monster from the Union, Missouri screaming house.
Exactly. Or something like that.
Could you imagine... Wait, okay. When the Conjuring house reopens, as it inevitably will...
Yes.
We have to get a Furby, and we have to take a Furby into the Conjuring house. I want to see what happens.
Let's start taking a Furby everywhere we do our paranormal investigations.
Okay, not gonna lie, I nearly did buy a Furby for this episode.
We need a Crips and Corks Furby! Okay, guys, let's start a Patreon for our Crips and... Or maybe a GoFundMe for our Crips and Corks Furby.
You do know that... How much is even a Furby nowadays?
We need a Crips and Corks Furby for our paranormal investigating and we're never going to put batteries in it.
So are we going to get like an original Furby?
Girl, I don't know. I feel like the original ones are probably expensive because like the Furbies...
You can get one. I see a rare unopened 1999 graduation Furby for $32.
Oh, $32. That's fine. That's a couple quick handies on the highway. Girl, we're going to get ourselves a Crips and Corks Furby, and we'll keep y'all updated. Whenever we get this Crips and Corks Furby, we'll let y'all know. But also, we are thinking about maybe doing a Patreon in the future, so watch out for that. If we start our Patreon, be sure to check that out. Hopefully we do that in the future at some point.
Soonish.
Ish. We'll see what happens. But back to Furby.
Anyways, anything more on that Furby?
That Furby, no, I feel like it was possessed by something that was already in the house if it was something demonic. I feel like it was already in the house for sure.
Okay. I have a baby pink Furby. She was my mom's and I ended up taking her. One time I ended up dropping the thing and it broke something. It no longer was able to sleep or deactivate as it always thought it was being played with. I had to take the batteries out of her. But not half an hour later she turned on again and started to talk. After about 5 or 10 minutes, she shut off again. I thought it was pretty weird, but I just brushed it off. She was reduced to a decoration. However, recently, she has been going off at night. Normally, strange mechanical noises and sometimes strange squawks and slight beak, eye, ear movements. There was also that time a spider had eggs in her face and they hatched and I had to deal with that. I ended up sticking a vacuum hose to her face and letting it go for a few minutes. Now I remember, I just picked that one for the creepy spider story.
I can't even imagine. Spiders crawling out of the Furby's face would be the creepiest thing. I would literally, because like I don't really like spiders. I have a little tiny fear of spiders, and I would throw that bitch away. I'd be done. That's it.
It kind of reminded me though of on Two Girls One Ghost. They had a listener story, and this chick woke up to an infestation of fairies.
Okay.
Like fairies, like little tiny people with wings. And she didn't know what to do, so she started vacuuming them up, and she like threw the vacuum cleaner outside so she wouldn't have to deal with them. And she went out the next day, and there was just nothing in the vacuum cleaner.
That sounds a little hokey to me.
You sound a little hokey.
That sounds a little hokey, girl.
Anyways, I was at Olivia's house I don't know who Olivia is, but let's just pretend we know Olivia.
Hi, Olivia. Hey, girl. Hope you're doing well.
I was at Olivia's house for a sleepover, and she and her twins... I'm sorry I started doing that in such a Valley Girl accent.
Matches the pajamas.
I was at Olivia's house for a sleepover, and she and her twin Sophia both had matching Furbies. Matching. I arrived and we played games and stuff. Fast forward a few hours, we went to sleep, and I woke up in the middle of the night to... play with me. And a knocking on the bedroom door. Of course, my first instincts were to wake up Olivia. We slowly opened the door and both Furbies were staring at us. After that, we took those motherfuckers and we burned them. Now I can't look at a Furby without seeing one burning.
These are violent children. I have not... When I was a kid, I'd never burnt any of my toys. The fact that their first response was burning it, like... What were these children doing?
But did you ever have a possessed toy?
No, but like, why did they just assume it was possessed? My first instinct would be someone's pranking me right now. Like, you have this matching Furby with your twin sister. Your sister's pranking us. She knows we're having a sleepover. It's a prank. That would be my first instinct.
No. If I'm scared, I will sleep in bed with someone because that gives me a 50% chance of surviving.
Well, there's a difference between sleeping in bed with someone and setting a blaze to the Furby. That's a whole, different thing.
I think you're looking at this too meta. Mm-hmm. The real problem is, why do all these rich kids have fire pits and we didn't?
I had a fire pit. I lived in the country. Listen, a fire pit isn't a rich person thing. Back where I'm from, you dig a hole in the ground, that's a fire pit. You put a bunch of bricks in a circle, that's a fire pit, girl.
I had a fire pit. It was like one of those waste barrels, like the metal ones, but somebody sawed off the top 2/3.
Yeah. Yeah, the burning barrel.
Yeah, and we put a couple bricks around so it wouldn't fall over. That was my fire pit.
Exactly. Fire pits are cheap. And you know what? I feel like anything can be a fire pit if you believe and have a few matches.
I could be a fire pit.
Exactly.
I would like to be a fire pit.
I'm usually a fire pit after a little bit of Taco Bell.
Okay. Okay. I had an indigo with a yellow mohawk and ears. I got it as a birthday present from my cousin. As all children, I tore into the box, got batteries, and started talking and making noises. I spent a good 4 months treating it like you would with your dog. I would get it to where the personality would be a cute voice and very sweet, but suddenly it died 3 minutes later. I replaced the batteries and it had the same personality as it did straight out of the box. I did the same process, got the same cute voice, but this time it called itself Cleo.
Oh, Cleo, that's kind of a cute name.
Then it died again. I replaced the batteries like I did before. It came back on, but this time it was a mean Furby. And whenever I tried, it wouldn't change its personality. It was just flat mean. It started rudely interrupting me when I was trying to teach it new things. It started biting me when I tried feeding it. So I did what anyone would do with something like that. I smashed it with a sledgehammer and then threw it in the fire pit. It was a cool thing watching it burn, but even though I took out the batteries, it started talking and moving. After it was turned to ashes, I was glad that it was gone at last.
I feel like the real scary thing here
is the kids who had the Furbies.
The violence of these children. That Furby was just trying to be itself. And you know what? Actually, in all seriousness, I think that Furby just had the wires wrong in it, because it kept resetting or whatever. So I think the Furby just had a technological malfunction. But that kid took it as well, my Furby's messed up. Time to burn it. Time to smash it with the hammer and burn it. These kids are violent.
I was once an avid Furby collector. I specialized in 2003 Furbies, which I kept on.
Why 2003?
I don't know.
What happened? She said 2 years after 9/11. This seems right.
Which I kept on the shelves of my bedroom. One night, I was awakened by a nearby muttering and shuffling sound. Mind you, I live alone. I turned on the light and found that 3 of my Furbies were on the ground, but I hadn't heard them fall. Confused but tired, I went back to sleep. The same thing happened the next night, and I turned on the light again to find the Furbies walking in a straight line towards my bed. They collectively began screaming, some high-pitched, some low demonic. I obviously screamed and ran out of my room. The next day, I promptly removed all the batteries and took them to a waste disposal center. They began writhing around in the garbage bags. I've never been the same, and no one has ever believed me. I'm so alone.
That one's spooky. And this child was actually rational. She just threw him away. There was no violence.
This was an adult.
Oh,
this was an adult.
Oh, so this is an adult who
specialized in collecting 2003 Furbies.
Not 2002. Not 2004. 2003. Maybe Homegirl wasn't all there, okay? Maybe there was something going on up there.
I once woke up to my Furby going, he, you look yummy, on repeat in a middle-aged drunk man voice for at least 20 minutes while staring at me with its floating white eyes in the back of my room. I'm still terrified of it since the voice keeps speaking randomly for the past 8 years.
It's just my voice. A middle-aged drunk man. It's just me. It's my voice.
And, hang on, I'm opening up the last one.
I love this milkshake so much.
I'm glad you do. I also heard one story. I didn't get it verbatim because it was on a podcast, but this girl woke up in the middle of the night and she heard like, ooh, awake, I'm awake, like from the Furby.
Mm-hmm.
And she heard, like, she brought her Furby and her friend had her Furby over.
Mm-hmm.
And the Furbies are going, do you think they can hear us? Do you think they're awake? Do you think they know we're awake? And she looks at her friend thinking her friend was like pranking her, and her friend is like staring at her like, oh my God. And then one of them moved and the Furbies went, they're awake, time to go to sleep, and they shut down.
That would scare me. That's creepy. That's giving the creepiest version of Toy Story. Like, that, I don't like that one. That one doesn't sit right with me.
Okay, so this is the final Furby story for the episode.
All right.
Trigger warning for suicide and mental health issues.
Oh my God!
This is called Jennifer's Furby.
Jesus. I shouldn't have laughed. Okay, this is a serious one.
When I was little, I'd say about 8 or so, I wanted a Furby. My parents tried to get their hands on one, so I would be greeted by the talkative toy under the Christmas tree. But at the time, they were so popular, getting one at all would have been quite the feat. Of course, like many other parents, in the release year of Furbies, they had no luck. I was a little disappointed that Christmas, but even though I was just a kid, I was aware of supply and demand.
She had a firm grasp on economics.
Prodigy.
Girl, she was thriving when the market crashed in 2008. She said, this is my time to shine, bitches.
During Christmas break, a couple of my friends came over, and I was envious of both of them. They both had Furbies. I frowned some as I watched the two girls laugh while their Furbies communicated and played together.
Aww.
Jessica got a spotted gray one with a white stomach and a pink mohawk. Amanda's was a pure white one with blue eyes, just like I wanted. I pouted, but did my best to be happy for them. After a while, they went back home. My parents could clearly tell how upset I was. January came and went, and even for my birthday, there was no Furby to be found. I did the usual. I pouted and sulked like the little brat I was, and settled for brushing the manes and tails of My Little Pony dolls. I would watch cartoons and fussily flip the channel every time a Furby commercial came on. Eventually, my mom got a phone call and ended up crying her eyes out like something awful had happened. Of course, curious and bored with My Little Ponies, I got up to see what was wrong. Mommy, what happened? She hugged me tight. Your cousin Jennifer, she began stammering, only to sob loudly. Jennifer was much older than me. She was 16 at the time. She won't be there when we go see Aunt Becky. Why? She's in heaven now, sweetie. I knew what that meant. I didn't know Jennifer so well, but when I did see her, she was always very nice to me, even though I didn't like the music she listened to very much. The men always seemed angry or sad, but my taste changed as I got older. Simply put, she was really depressed and always wore black. I didn't know at the time, but that was what older people referred to as goth. I just knew that my aunt would be very upset. That meant we had to go see her.
Okay.
Becky was very distraught when we showed up. My mom didn't think I should come along, but I begged and pleaded, hoping I could find a way to cheer my aunt up. It would be strange without Jennifer there, but my mother decided that attending her funeral may be a good way to learn about coping with death.
Okay, yeah, I mean, it's a lesson all children have to learn at some point, unfortunately.
The funeral was open casket. Jennifer looked almost like she was just peacefully sleeping. I cried simply because I knew she wouldn't wake up. She wouldn't play patty cake with me anymore, she wouldn't tell me scary stories, and she wouldn't tell me cool things about spiders. As the casket was finally lowered into the ground, I quietly murmured, "Good night, Jenny." After the funeral, I went into her room. The empty pill bottle, there was no label, so I don't know what it was still on the floor. I didn't know what it meant at the time, but my mom and her sister were discussing what was found during the autopsy. She overdosed on Valium and consumed alcohol, which killed her. A few things were already taken out of her room. Her journal contained entries about how she wanted to die and how she hated herself. Nobody ever knew she felt that way. I especially didn't. It made me sad. She always seemed so happy when I'd visit. I heard both Becky and my mother weeping. They came into Jennifer's room and glanced around. Becky insisted that all of her posters needed to be taken down and whatnot. She wanted to clear the room of all of her old things. My mother explained to me later that sometimes when somebody dies, the people who love them don't want to see what that person had because it would upset them. I just thought Becky really hated Marilyn Manson and Nirvana.
Oh, to you.
After a while, I ended up collecting a pile of things that Becky wanted to throw out. I had a stack of CDs full of music that terrified most kids my age and a few posters that went with them. Becky fussed at me wondering why I wanted such scary things. My answer was simple. Jenny liked them, and I liked Jenny, so I liked them too.
Okay.
My mother just shook her head looking at Becky. She was basically telling her not to even try it. She knew how stubborn I was. But after collecting that stack of things, I stared at the bookshelves across the room. I saw a Furby there. It might not have been the color I wanted, but it was still a Furby. It was pure black, but I would expect something like that from Jenny.
Period. I mean, she was goth.
Aunt Becky, can I have the Furby too? Can you imagine you just lost your daughter's suicide and your brat of a little niece goes, "Can I have this?"
Yeah, I mean, also, she's a kid. She doesn't get, the whole, maybe I should, wait a couple months before I start asking for things after this person just passed away. When you're a kid, you don't really get that sort of thing. But dang, a black Furby would be cool, honestly.
See, when you die, I'm taking all the stuff I want, and then I'm going to call the ambulance.
And you know what? I'll do the same for you.
Good. It was a long ride back home, but I was playing with Jenny's old Furby, so I felt fine. It was sitting neatly on top of the manual, speaking its silly language. I would respond to it in English. My mother seemed relieved that she didn't have to buy me one, but at the same time distraught by my cousin's death. She talked to Becky a lot after that. I often read to the Furby, and I started listening to the music that Jennifer left behind. My friends didn't like it, so I didn't play it when they were around. They brought their Furbies over to meet mine, only to be shocked by what happened. The Furby's green eyes stared blankly into the blue eyes of Amanda's white one. Its mechanical voice uttered something that showed us, "Me no like you."
Well, didn't like the Furby. And what about it?
Amanda looked a little unnerved. She scooped her Furby up into her arms and gave me a strange look. I didn't teach it that, I swear. I told them how I got it, and Jessica, the most superstitious of us, said it was probably haunted or cursed. I told her not to be silly. We tried to make it interact with hers, but my Furby would only close his eyes and fell asleep despite the others' friendly attempts to sing and whatnot. I sighed and shook my head. I guess I need to reset it or something. The other girls nodded. Taking a pen, I pressed the button on the other side of it. After it opened its eyes, it said something that I didn't think was normal. "Me so cold."
Oh, that took a turn.
I stared into the green eyes. They reminded me of Jennifer's. That night, my friends and I had a sleepover. We all had our Furbies, but mine decided to be antisocial and slept the whole time. We watched movies and talked about things that normal little girls would talk about. We laughed and told scary stories. I even picked on Amanda for having a crush on this boy named Kevin. They picked on me for the one boy that I really didn't like, but it was obvious he liked me. I just made gagging motions resulting in laughter. After we slept, we had breakfast together and they went home. Afterwards, my Furby woke up. I tried to feed it by depressing its tongue. Me no hungry. I frowned. I rubbed its back to mimic pecking. It responded with boo, which means no. I was annoyed again. I prodded its belly in an attempt to tickle it. It let out a sound that sounded like a bored sigh. This was also irritating. No play. I didn't expect this at all. This wasn't how my friend's Furbies acted. It just sat there with its eyes wide open, staring and doing nothing aside from the occasional yawn or sigh. When talking to my mother about it, she explained that's how Jennifer acted towards Becky during her last days. I went to sleep after a while. The next day I woke up and it responded, let me sleep. Let me sleep. It fell asleep as usual, but this time it opened its eyes afterwards. Though judging by its silence, it wasn't awake. I told my mom because it started to creep me out and she gave me a strange look. What's wrong, Mama? Those were Jennifer's last words.
I don't like that. This one does not sit right with me. Obviously, it's not one we can joke about.
No.
But that is
maybe
creepy.
You are right that they are vessels.
Yeah, and I hope that girl's soul isn't stuck in that Furby or something like that. Because, I don't like that. That last story does not sit right with me. Complete vibe change, complete spook. But, again, so I feel like a Furby would be an easy vessel for a spirit demon entity to take control over. So it's really not outside of the realm of possibility that the Furbies are haunted. They're not. So our opinion is they're not inherently haunted. It's just because they look so lifelike, it's easy for them to haunt, like dolls. Exactly. Now, I know you said we, but do you have that same opinion?
Yeah, I'm gonna vibe with it.
Okay, no. But there is something a little creepy about Furbies, and I am serious about wanting to get a Furby for our investigate. Could you imagine how cute that would be? We just have our little Furby with us, and whenever we go alone in one of the most haunted places in the world, we just have our little Furby with us, our little buddy. So we're never really alone.
I can just imagine, you sending me into the basement of a haunted house with the Furby, and it randomly going, Daelo Naba! Which is good night.
It just starts chanting some crazy stuff. It's like,
wait, I don't think we got that. I was watering my cat. Can you do that again?
Can I do it again?
I can't.
I'd piss if I was in some haunted basement or something by myself with the Furby and it started doing that. I would drop the Furby and bolt. I'd be out of there. Toodaloo. See y'all later.
Now, would you name the Furby?
I was actually thinking about that, because what would we name the Furby?
What would you, if you had a Furby? If I bought you a Furby right now, what would you name it?
If I had a Furby right now, I would name it, oh geez, maybe Salem, but also I feel like Salem's kind of basic.
A very specific Furby has to be Salem.
Yeah, an all-black one has to be Salem, like the cat. Or, I don't know, what would you name it? I don't know. So, comment down below your suggestions of what we should name our Furby once we get it. Or maybe we'll do a poll, get the Furby, and we'll do a poll on it, and you guys can vote on we'll choose 3-4 different names, and they can vote on what we should name our Furby.
Okay.
Now, we don't have the Furby yet, so hold your horses and we'll get there. We're going to adopt our
I'm so glad the Furby's going to live here.
Side note. Jennifer's Furby is the furry version of Jennifer's body. You're welcome, kids. I had that thought before I knew what that story was about, but I had to get it out there for the public. I know there's someone watching this with a video camera that can make the Furby version of Jennifer's body. And I want to see your creativity. Now, have I seen that movie? No. But do I know if it's a famous movie? Yes. And do I want to see the Furby version of it? Yes. Someone make it happen. The internet's alive.
And on that note, thank you so much for joining us.
What, you don't want to see Jennifer's Furby come to life? Not this story, but like Jennifer's body, but with Furby. Jennifer's body, but with Furby.
I don't want to see any woman's Furby come to life.
I
don't even want to see a man's Furby come to life.
I think that's what that movie Teeth is about. It's a woman's Furby coming to life.
It's bad enough that I watched that How to Nair Your Ass, and I watched that guy on YouTube wink his asshole at me. It winked!
That was crazy. The way YouTube let that be on the internet, on God's green internet,
he did
is
one for
crazy.
Peeps too, where you saw full frontal.
Well, we might have to bookmarked. No, just kidding. Well, this was a fun episode. I really enjoyed this. Again, go watch our TikTok to see how we made these beautiful milkshakes, because it really was so good. You did a great job. And this was a fun episode. What do you think?
I enjoyed it. It was really hard, like, trying to narrow it down to the best stories.
Yeah, I imagine there's a ton out there. Because, like, Furbies
and a lot of them are so obviously made up.
Yeah. That's what happens when things get super popular on the internet, is people just, like, make shit up for likes. So it's hard to, like, sift through, like, the tea and what's not the tea.
Well, please be sure to like, subscribe, and follow us wherever you listen. If you have listener stories, you can email them to us. All of that information is down below. Paul, where can they find you?
You can find me on my personal Instagram and TikTok at Paulember, Paulember. And as usual, guys, it's not delivery. It's DiGiorno.
And if you'd like to follow me, you can do so at The Real Deech Powers, both on TikTok and on Instagram. And here at Crips and Corks, we believe that every person can make a difference and everyone should try. So please consider donating to Shatterproof, which goes towards ending the stigma around addiction and providing recovery to those who are suffering with it.
Yes, and that's what, again, why we're sober this month. Raise awareness for addiction. And also, I do feel a lot better as a person, like, without, like, drinking so much. I definitely do feel better.
That's good. I'm glad you do. I just kind of feel a little empty inside. That was a joke.
You can make yourself whole again. I believe in you.
And until next time, uwabe wee wee. Which is Furbish for keep your crips tight.
And your corks loose. Bye! Mine's not making noise. That sucks.